Okay, so we're looking at a third possibility to play between the C sharp and the E note, the octave E on the guitar, okay, which is here. Alright, we can look at this interval as an E shape, key of D, 7 root 2. So E shape is 7 root 2 by definition. Okay, because when you play an E down here, okay, E becomes the root. That's why. So it's E shape there. It's going to be E shape up on the C sharp here. Okay, now that E shape is going to start on the root. So the root is going to be the alright, we got an E shaped D. Here's our D. The C sharp is here. It's up here. It's one whole step up. Let the good times roll. Alright, so we've done the D shape there. The same thing applies down here. It just took me a little while to hone in on it. You can go cage to the left. You can go string circle to the right. So starting on an E shaped, which defined that area from dot to double dot, you can go up in fifth. So fifth of E is a augmented. You go to an augmented, so you got an augmented fifth, so you get your C shape. Fifth of C shape is G shape. Okay, but also going to the left, going fourth, so you got an E shape. The fourth of E is A. You have your 5 6 root 2 3 5 6 root. So your key and your entry point for the key of D is at that same dot interval. Alright, so this is the last segment, and it doesn't have to go all the whole 10 minutes, but we should take our time before we decide to get going. So let's review with the string fragments, or the string shape definitions. In the key of C, these are the string shape definitions. They come from the original stack of 2 long and stack of 3 long building blocks of our pentatonic scales, in this case diatonic with the 7 and the 4s. String shape definitions, just by number, it's going to be 3 4 5, half step, whole step, it's going to be 6 7 root, whole step, half step, it's going to be 2 3 4, whole step, half step. Okay, 5 6 is just a whole step, 7 root 2, half step, whole step. We looked at our generic fretboard with the 5 caged keys: C, A, G, E, D. C is if you have the normal fretnut there, but if you put a capo on the G, alright, then that G becomes the 5th of A. Okay, so now that doesn't sound right, but we're not really building a real fretboard there. When we go into the key of A here, this goes away. This is why this is a generic fretboard. It's a virtual fretboard. It isn't real. It's like we're starting the whole thing over there from here. Alright, so in this case, I cut the thing wrong. In this case, for the entire key of A, and then the little C label doesn't pertain to that. Now we're looking at E as the 5th. So that's how the generic fretboard works, to show that this works in any key. You don't have to make a whole new fretboard every time. You just memorize the intervals involved with the cage shapes, A is 5/6 root, pentatonic would be, the key of A would be 5/6. Alright, 5/6 root 2 3 5/6 root. That's an A note there. Alright, so we talked about how this is just how versatile all this stuff really is. Okay, we talked about the 5 keys of caged. C, in the key of C, the low E becomes the third of C. In the key of A, so that would be sounds like kind of suspenseful. In the key of A, the low E becomes the fifth. In the key of G, the low E becomes the sixth. In the key of E, the low E becomes the root. And in the key of D, the low E becomes the second. That was weird. So we talked about that, and then we got so we have our 5 keys. We talked about how we can build these keys, these using the string circle. When we go up in fifths, except we go in augmented fifth between E and C. When we go down, we go in fourths, except we go a diminished fourth between C and E instead of C and F. When we go to the right, we're going fifths in shapes, except for the augmented, the E to C. And then when we're going to the left, we go in fourths. Now these are shapes that don't share with one another. When we're going to the right and left, we go cage to the right, up the neck, and a pentatonic increasing scale to the left going down the neck. So we're using up some time here. Now we have the dots. We can summarize the dots one more time. I think I'm going to get some water because it's 88 degrees in this room. Wow. A teeny weeny bit of ginger ale in there. I love that. I'm trying to get this sore throat to go away. And then it's just tail end symptoms. So the dots are useful because in each of the intervals we can use them as entry points for different keys. Those keys will be C from the fret nut to the first dot. The key of C also from the first dot to the second dot will be the key of C in the A shape. The first open string zone will be the key of C, will be the only thing you can play in its entirety without going into another cage. Moving from the A to the B, we get the key of D A shape. So if you want to do the key of D, you can mentally just start it on the A note from the A to the B in the A shape. Key of E, you can start it on the B note to the C sharp in the A shape. The key of E, you can start it from the C sharp to the octave, okay, for the key of E in the G shape. Now remember, the G shape ends with the root would be E at that point. Or you can go use it as an entry point for the key of A in the C shape, which would be 3, 4, 5. The fifth of A is E. That octave would be E. You can use it as an entry point for the key of D in the E shape, which would be 7 root 2 because E is the second of D. And that's 7 root 2. C sharp, root would be D, and then E. Those are just entry points, and the same thing with the octave to the first one. We can add the G because we can access Lone Wolf 7. So we got the C shape, just a repeat octave over there, but we can also do the G shaped G because we can do the pattern there, the full diatonic scale. So